Welcome, one and all, to another edition of the Defo Show with Lubie here on the 5 Reasons Sports Network, brought to you by Water Cleanup of Florida. It's been drier here in South Florida lately. That doesn't mean that leaks won't rear their ugly head. Don't let them mess up your new year. Water Cleanup of Florida has you covered. Just give them a call at 954-579-0356. Any leak damage, they will not only repair it, but with their licensed, certified, insured contractors, they will make it look brand new. They did it for me and my wife. They will do it for you. Check out them on Google with over 75-star reviews. Water Cleanup of Florida. Their website, WCUFL.com. Check them out on the socials at Water Cleanup FL. Again, 954-579-0356. Any water damage at your home, you not only want to get rid of it, but you want it to look like it never happened. Water Cleanup of Florida are your people. If you have the schmutz, they have the guts. The Miami Dolphins finally had the guts. They get a win, ending that 5-game losing streak, snapping it, winning. I guess the final score was 11-6 after a weird safety when they didn't play the Bills. Weird safety after the Jets tried to do something, even though the game was pretty much over. The Dolphins did win. No touchdowns scored. It was a affair, but the Dolphins are in the playoffs. And we talked a lot about it today with NFL agent Brett Tessler and John Congemi here on the Defo Show with Lubie on the 5 Reasons Sports Network. On the 5 Reasons.
All right, welcome back to the show. Good to be with you. Peeling yourself off the mat Monday here. The NFL wrapped up its regular season yesterday, a 17-game regular season, second one of its kind since dropping one of the preseason games and adding in one that actually counts. Joining us right now, and always a pleasure on these Mondays to welcome to the show, and I kept thinking of him as Raheem Mostert was literally breaking Jets' bones.
Oh, my God.
My God. I mean, it looked like he was going down to the construction site and trying to collect for somebody that was connected. He was hurting people, man. And I love watching a guy that runs hard. Brett Tessler, the agent of the Stars, joins us here. Brett, how are you, my friend?
Doing great, guys. And, thanks for mentioning Raheem there. Super proud of this guy. Obviously, came back from a pretty comprehensive knee procedure, which ended his season very early last year. And for him to get his career back on track and end up having a career season where he had the most rushing yards he's ever had and well over 1,000 yards of total offense, including a very high yards per carry behind an offensive line that, let's just say, it's not necessarily what he's accustomed to.
Suspect.
Horrendous. You can say it.
Not exactly the Hawks. You can put it that way if you want to be diplomatic.
Yeah, I think if you look at, many of the more successful running backs in the league, they tend to have very dominant offensive lines. And so, again, that's an area that I think everybody would agree this team can improve on in the future. And, if that ends up happening, this team can really do great things, but as it is right now, they get a chance to play in the wild card against Buffalo, and that should be a challenging game. But when you look at the postseason success of this team over the last 2 decades, or lack thereof, just getting to the postseason, I don't care if it's a wild card, I don't care if they barely eke their way by the Jets, I don't care how many games they lost on the stretch. The bottom line is, this year's team has accomplished something that most of the Dolphins teams of the last 2 decades haven't. So it's a sign of encouragement. It's a sign that Mike McDaniel's done a really, really good job with what he has. And, while they may not win the Super Bowl this year, but they are in the postseason, anything can happen. But if that doesn't happen, the fans can still look at this season as a clear step in the right direction.
Brett Tessler, the agent of the Stars, with us here on a Peel Yourself Off the Mat Monday. All right, this came up, and I would think I could probably guess your position on this, but I was an advocate of getting rid of all preseason games. I thought they were pretty meaningless. Maybe play one. I don't know. What the solution to that is. Less is better, though, it seems, and that came with the owners and the league looking to institute a 17th game. At first, as a fan of the game, I'm thinking, the more games, the merrier. If they want to play 18, that's fine with me. But now that they've played a couple of seasons of 17 games, I'm not sure that they didn't have already a perfect solution at 16 games with 32 teams and the way everything was set up. What's your thought about that? What's your position on the added game? Do you think it adds to the overall entertainment package and the mission that the NFL is trying to accomplish besides just making money for the owners?
That's what I think it accomplished more than anything, roughly 1/17 more, which if you know the money, if you know the money that this league makes, during a season, to add, 1/17 more,
6% or so, 7%. Yeah.
That's a huge number, in terms of added revenue for the league and its owners. And so, that tends to be what drives everything. And, I certainly understand why they wanted it. I don't blame them for wanting it. It's just on the other hand, from a pure, mathematical standpoint, I think it's ridiculous. And I think it's clearer than ever that 17 is probably going to turn into 18. It's more a question of, I'd say, when, not a matter of if. And so, with that being said, obviously I don't like it. We saw what happened to Damar Hamlin last week. It's a dangerous game. And every single extra game, every single extra play that these guys play is just increasing the chances that something bad can happen. And so, it is what it is now, and it's not going back. And so there's no point in us crying about it. It's just a matter of, to me, 16 games, 32 teams. Can't get much more even than that. But I don't think that's really what the league was concerned about. So they did what they did. And, again, frankly, as much as I don't like the extra football, as somebody who's just obsessed with numbers, I think when it ends up ultimately becoming 18 games, that will certainly look a lot better optically and make a lot more sense mathematically.
Yeah, it's kind of an unusual thing. I mean, you see this in no other sporting entity, an odd number. Maybe soccer, some soccer league has it that I don't know about, but odd number of games always seem to be, a little bit out of whack with common logic. It's interesting, too, because, I mean, in light of the, what appeared to be a catastrophic injury to Damar Hamlin, and it's great to see the universe kind of rally around this guy. It's very heartening to think that people still do actually have a heart and, can get behind something like that. But, when you were talking about Raheem, I mean, this guy had like a destroyed knee, and you don't think about. I'm watching this guy run yesterday, Brett, and I'm thinking, how the hell? What doctor did this surgery? Because anything that happens to me, I want him on this. Because he looked as strong as an ox out there yesterday before he got hurt in the game.
Yeah, and if you really want to know the name of the doctor, it's Dan Cooper in Dallas, who is probably as good of a knee doctor as there is in this country. The Dolphins have a great one down here in Dr. Uribe, but Cooper has been doing this procedure with cartilage chips, and it's something that's kind of only been in existence in the last 6-7 years. And some of the top players in the league, I can't mention them by name right now, have had this, and he's done it. And, had this injury happened 10 years ago, there's a good chance that Raheem's career would pretty much be close to finished, just because as those bones continue to rub and the cartilage continues to deteriorate, it's just a matter of time till it's bone on bone. So once you get something like that fixed, like we did, he's as good as new. And I think we all saw this season, he's as fast as he's ever been. Probably even more powerful than he's ever been, because again, there wasn't a lot of huge holes to run through this year. So, sometimes he kind of had to be his own blocker, as we saw multiple times yesterday. And so, again, just amazing season for him. And, we'll see where it goes from here.
Yeah, I liked his attitude even, before he unfortunately left the game. But there was a one play, he got strung out there. They were trying to run some kind of pitch. And he goes way out to the sidelines there. He's like going to lose like 10 yards because there was sieve-like blocking, and there was a jet in his face before he even got the ball. He strings that out, and then there were like 3 guys around him. And, how I don't know if this ever happened to you. It happened to me a couple of times in New York where, growing up as a kid, and I was on my way to PS20, and all of a sudden you're surrounded by like a group of kids, and, they're going to take your lunch money and whatever else you got on you. And you're thinking, I'm going to hit one of them in the balls before they get to me. and Mostert just lowers his head against 3 jets, even though he could have just walked out of bounds. And I'm thinking, wow, that is one tough SOB, the kind of thing that you're going to need if you're going to go into the playoffs. All right. What chance do you give these guys I mean, I was, thinking about it. Tua makes those mid-range throws in the middle of the field, in between, what is very briefly like a wide open area for Waddle and Tyreek Hill, and it didn't appear that Thompson, had the ability to do that.
Didn't even try
I
it.
mean, that seems to be Tua's really, really great skill, and it fits the offense perfectly. But do they stand a chance? A, without Tua in Buffalo, and B, I mean, what's the story with this kid? Do we have any idea?
Well, I kind of like Skylar Thompson. I like his makeup. I like his skill set. Now, obviously, like any younger quarterback, it's good that he got some experience during the regular season. You just hope it's the right kind of experience because, again, when you're spending a lot of the day running for your life and, making throws on the run and doing things like that.
It wasn't easy.
No, it wasn't easy, but if it doesn't kill you, it makes you stronger. So I'd be interested to see how he continues to develop. And Tua obviously gives them the best chance to win today because, he's been the guy since day one this season. He's the guy that the offense and the receivers and everybody have the best timing with. And so, overall, regardless who starts, I think it's going to be an uphill battle. Buffalo's obviously one of the, three best teams in the league, I would say. And if you just look at their team, player for player, comparing them to Miami, I mean, Josh Allen, you're talking about one of the three best quarterbacks in the league. You're talking about easily a championship type defense there, and that certainly separates these two teams. So I think it's going to be a big challenge, but like we talked about earlier, just the very fact that the Dolphins are in this position, I'm not saying that they should just go there and lay down and be happy they made it to the wild card, but look, anything can happen. I mean, players can go down. Things can happen. When when the Dolphins played the Bills a few weeks ago, they gave them a tough game. So anything can happen. I mean, the weather could be a little tough up there. That typically would favor Buffalo, but it's going to be a interesting thing to see how the Dolphins respond going again on the road in a tough climate against a very talented team. It's certainly where if they can't win the game, at least it's an opportunity again to build more character and to get more postseason experience for years to come.
Well, I mean, it was a bitter rivalry at one time. I guess it has the possibility to emerge as one again if the two teams, both stay on a good track. Always a pleasure. The Pigskin Playbook about to get underway here. Brought to you by Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill. That's mile marker 104. Overseas Highway in Key Largo. Dynamite place. You see the pictures. And it's one of those places, John Congemi, that actually looks better than the brochure, which looks so enticing.
Yeah.
Unlike the
You're
Sunset Inn, which I've stayed at many times in Key Largo, which looks nothing like the brochure once you get there.
Did you say you had Sunset?
When they give you 2 keys and a fly swatter as you go to your room, I mean, it's never a good sign. That's not the case at the Big Chill. I mean, you can get shafted, on keys accommodations and or dining, but this is never the case at Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill. How are you? I posted something up on Facebook. I couldn't help but think as the game was transpiring and they were going to halftime, a late field goal to knot it up at 3 apiece. And I'm thinking, this is not exactly the thriller in Manila that I'm watching here. And I put up a picture of one of those clever inside right hands that Muhammad Ali had, landed throughout his career to the jaw of Joe Frazier, only to go through treachery later on. I'm assuming you were at this game, and if you were, how are you still alive today? I mean, that was torture. I mean, it really was.
Even Defo and Lubie, even the taste of Hard Rock black coffee couldn't get me through the first half.
Wow.
Of this one.
Joe Flacco versus Skylar Thompson and a bad offensive line.
The only thing that I was thinking of was eight games, and it's. I was waiting.
What do you think we were thinking about?
Talk to you guys, because honest to God, I mean, you felt like the Dolphins were going to find a way, but it didn't look. I didn't have any confidence in them finding a way.
I felt they were going to win the game the whole time. I really did. I thought they would eventually get a touchdown somehow, either a Flacco pick six, some kind of fumble or, I mean, maybe I don't think Thompson is that bad, but wow, he looked like Ray Lucas a couple of times, where, the guy was almost on the ground and he tries to throw one. I'm sure you've attempted a couple of those, much to the, dismay of your coaching staff.
I took a few years off of some of those coaches' lives. Are trying to attempt some of those. And I'm
You're
sure
prone to the ground.
Skyler did the same the other day on us, and a lot of Dolphin fans. We were like, just don't turn it over, because the Jets aren't going to score a touchdown. They couldn't run.
They have
football.
No offense, zero. I mean, except that Wilson kid, who was great.
Wilson, outstanding. What did he have? 9 for 102.
Oh, and he was being triple teamed too. I mean, and catching balls in the dirt from Flacco.
Yeah.
I mean, it looked like he was trying to catch Gaylord Perry, for God's sake.
Yeah,
what was on that one, Gaylord?
He did look like, I'll give you one. He looked like Manny Sanguillen back there, right, with one leg out. So
saving a beauty by Sanguillen, exactly.
It wasn't an offensive performance that you're going to want to watch again, if you're one of the players. But the Dolphins found a way to win, and the good thing is, going into a game like they're going to face in Buffalo, giving some confidence to Jason Sanders, because he's going to have to be money again if the Dolphins are going to have to hang around the first half and cash in on getting points, right? Even though they may not score a touchdown, you rely on Jason Sanders, you stay in the game, you're within arm's distance of the Buffalo Bills. So that was a good thing, other than finding a way to win. New England found a way to lose. Buffalo had 2 kick returns for touchdowns.
That
was everybody was happy in the end.
Yeah. I thought the Patriots, I guess Mac Jones threw 3 picks, which, probably gives a little distinction to Lubie's point that he sucks. But I don't know that I want to concede that, because they were in that game. And what I thought was an impossible spot, with the recovery of DeMar Hamlin and the way the country is rallied around this guy. And, everybody's, got sympathy for people in Buffalo anyway, because they have to live there. So, which in and of itself, I mean, is catastrophic. But, I mean, you had to think the Patriots were in a really, really rough spot there to try and come up with a win. And they didn't help themselves any, that's for sure.
No, they gave the football away, and they gave up touchdowns on special teams. There's no easier way to lose a road game.
Yeah, 2 kickoff returns.
Game.
Wow.
Right. So that, I mean, you everything's, you always say it's, offense, defense, and special teams. A lot of people don't put credence in that, right? Because it's like, well, special teams are going to play, 8 times a game, 9 times a game.
Very diminished, as Mike Westhoff would tell you,
when they do connect, it's a body blow. Wow. It's a gut punch. And it takes the steam out of you, as a team.
You've probably seen it a few times when you were quarterback, and and you see the kicker making that last desperate lunge while you're on the sidelines, having just worked your team into a position to win the game, and you watch this guy go floating by, and here's like some Jan Stenerud wannabe, and he whiffs on the tackle.
Yeah,
the guy's going the rest of the way.
There were times where you could see eyes of insanity on the sidelines, where offense and defensive linemen want to go choke a kicker or want to, just
no, for sure.
Are you kidding me? But the worst sound in the world for a quarterback is, you miss on third down, you're walking to the sidelines, and all of a sudden you hear a thud because the punt's blocked and it's going the other way, and it's awful. So special teams, as limited as you have chances, can turn games and really get the emotion and really get the momentum of a team flipped on one play. And the Bills were able to do that to start the game. And then, they got another one as the game went on.
All right, Lubie's got something for you, but just real quickly, I'm with you. I believe you win as many games as you can, unless you're Lovie Smith. In which case, I'm not sure that he was going to survive, getting to another season anyway. But, I mean, it had to be expedited when he goes for 2 and wins the game and costs him the number 1 overall pick.
Could you have seen the bounce house in the owner's box? Right? People just bouncing off the walls.
They have the number 1 pick wrapped up. All this guy has to do is take a knee.
Yeah, exactly.
And goes and wins the game, and they're fucked. And that was I don't even know that he made it out of the locker room before he got dismissed. My former neighbor, a guy who coached in the USFL and also coached at Missouri as a defensive coordinator. Woody Woodenhofer was his guy. A guy named Jim McKinley. And McKinley was in the USFL with the Oklahoma Outlaws, and their kicker in a playoff game missed a kick before the half, and they literally had moved his stuff out of the locker room before he even got back in there, man. And the USFL was kind of a renegade league. Did you ever take a sniff at the USFL? Was that around when you were a pro?
I didn't. No, I didn't.
Could have played for Donnie Trump or something there with the Generals.
Exactly.
That would have been good. But yeah. I mean, I could see that where and in college football this year, it's never been more in evidence that there aren't enough good college kickers to go around, including that guy, Ruggles, who was pretty good for Ohio State. But was that one of the worst shanks you have ever seen in that semifinal game?
Yeah, that was
bad.
He
came on the field about 46 yards, very makeable for a kid today, and he had already made longer distance kicks. And, wow, I mean, just shanked it off to the left, and that cost you a chance at the championship. All right, Lubie, what do you have for John Congemi?
I was just going to see, because we haven't heard anything about Tua, and I know it's not like they're feeding you information, but you're around the organization, so maybe you would have heard more. What is the word on Tua? Because McDaniel was very loquacious until the Tua question, and then he really didn't say anything. And I get it, his health is what matters, and his day-to-day, but it's been 2 weeks. And the target was the playoffs, and they're now in the playoffs against a team that they played really well against with Tua. What is your sense? Is there a chance that Tua could play this weekend?
Yeah, I think he's going to play.
All right, great.
I wouldn't see why he wouldn't. I mean, all you have to do is pass protocol, and then it's up to the player, right? I don't know why. I don't know what's so convoluted about it, because if the player says, I don't feel right, then he doesn't feel right, and he doesn't play. If he passes all the protocol, benchmarks to get to a point where they say, okay, you're out of protocol, I'm going to go practice. I'm going to go see how I feel. So I'm going to go outside. I'm going to go practice. I'm going to kind of get into the routine of a regular day. I'm going to go to film study. I'm going to answer questions. I'm going to go through the meetings. I'm going to go to lunch. I'm going to do all the things that I need to do. And then I'm going to go out and participate in practice like I would normally. If I feel okay after that, I'm going to turn to the coaches and give them thumbs up and say, hey, I'm good. I feel great. I want to continue. Now, I think it goes solely to the player at that point. So if the player wants to play, I think he's going to have that opportunity to play. If the player doesn't feel right, then he's not. But if you can pass all the benchmarks that you can to get through the protocol, and like you said, Lubie, it's not like it happened last week.
No.
It is now almost
ago, right?
10 days,
2 games,
2 weeks into it. And I think once you get through protocol, it's on the player now, whether he plays or not.
I'm thinking, their chances against Buffalo, the way things are going right now, trending. They did match up well against them. Obviously, they beat them one time coming from behind, and they were toe-to-toe with them in a shootout in a very meaningful game. That was about as exciting a football game as you can ask for, losing on a last-second field goal. So it isn't impossible to conceive that they could be competitive in this game, but I believe there's no chance that they win this game without Tagovailoa. Oh. And then on top of that, I mean, this was something you could see. Now, he was under stress, and he's not accustomed to doing the things. I mean, there's a reason Tua is ahead of him on the depth chart, and this guy was a 7th-round pick, Skylar Thompson. But those intermediate throws into the middle of the zones, it was never more clearly illustrated how good Tua is at executing those plays versus a guy that maybe has to take a step to his right because he just won't hang in that same spot for a split second longer. And Tua gets rid of the ball so much more quickly than either Bridgewater or Skylar Thompson. So, and those throws were clearly missing. In the Jets game, I mean, guys, you're looking at Tyreek Hill. There might have been 4 Jets forming an umbrella around him, but those are the throws that Tua hits, and that's why they've had such a good season when he's been in there.
Well, you think about it, how many reps Tua's had at the footwork and the timing and throwing blindly because he knows where guys are going to be, and he's anticipating those throws, where Skylar had probably 3 days of work at it in terms of getting all the reps and doing all those things. So you would think Tua is going to be that far ahead, and the receiver is going to be that much comfortable running in those zones and being able to know where to settle down Skyler probably has the strongest arm of all three quarterbacks on the team, but in terms of being able to have that timing to match up where the receivers are in those zones, it takes a while. It takes some time, and that's probably why you saw and fans saw what they did on Sunday. It was just hit or miss. It looked a little bit like helter skelter in terms of scrambling, making plays, extending plays, trying to be productive, but you're trying so hard, the wheels are spinning and you're not getting anywhere. So I think Skyler has all the tools to be an NFL quarterback.
Yeah, he's promising, no question.
He has mobility. He has a strong arm. He's got the size. He just needs time. He just needs to mature and nurture that and harness, all of his strengths. And that takes reps. So he doesn't have them yet.
Is that a nice way of saying you agree with me? They have no shot without Tua.
You know what? You think about it.
Give him a chance, yeah. All right.
I would give him a chance because the Dolphins as a team, have played. What 1 point separates these two teams in two matchups? I think that's if you're looking at.
But Tua had big games in both of those games.
Was a big part of it.
He was huge, and so was Hill and Waddle. I mean, were Hill and Waddle. And that's what they need. I mean, they're not going to win this game with a couple of field goals.
No.
I would think that Buffalo is going to put up 30 points.
Their defense
in the ball game, and the over players might be tempted to take a shot, but whatever the total is, the under players. Wow, I mean, were they? Kazatsky, man, I saw dancing in the streets on Biscayne Boulevard, John Congemi, yesterday. As the under players, usually a bunch of lowlife, pessimistic, sarcastic, guys that hate to have fun, bet the under. All right. And they're dancing, man. They were dancing to bar mitzvah music yesterday as 3-3 at halftime was just absolutely abysmal.
Oh, how about the end of the game? That had to affect you.
The Salugi play, killed me. It killed me.
He actually had 3 and a hook with the Jets. Defo actually did.
Oh, my.
3 and a hook. I mean, you were getting 3 and a hook. I went upstairs. Actually, I got a celebratory drink. I was getting 3 and a hook from my buddy there with the Jets. And, I'm hoping the Dolphins win the game because I think it would have been just really a catastrophic collapse to finish 8-9 and lose at home to a Jet team that was being quarterbacked by Joe fucking Flacco.
Yeah.
I mean, nothing against Flacco. Great that he has the ability to still be in the league, which is only eclipsed in my amazement. It's not, you know what? It's not even close to how amazing it is that Chad Checkdown Henne is still in the league. Did you see that Henne sighting with Kansas City Chiefs?
Yes, I did.
I'm like, who's this guy? I thought he was, I really thought it was his son. Who's the guy?
Weather in Buffalo Sunday is a high of 29 and not a lot of wind, maybe 8 to 10 miles an hour. So, it's not going to be one of those just rainy, nasty.
It's going to be
cold. Warm.
I'm sorry.
Yes.
They have a shot to a place.
At 30. Those guys are crazy, too. Did you see the Buffalo? I know the fans were, naturally inspired by this DeMar Hamlin thing, which has been a great story. And, it's, amazing to see that this guy's actually looking like he's going to be okay and completely. And I don't know if he plays football or whatever, but I do believe that was a fluke, like one of those things that the way they described it, where he just got hit in between heartbeats in this exact spot, like this guy, Chris Pronger in hockey. And, the guy turned out to be fine. He came back, I believe, and played many years after that, if I'm not mistaken. But, the fans are out there literally in T-shirts, man, eating kielbasa in the parking lot like it was nothing. I mean, they just dug themselves out from 48 feet of snow that fell in a half an hour, a couple of weeks ago. And they're out there like it's a summer day, man. I mean, having been in that area and gone to school at the Q, well, you probably experienced some of this at Pittsburgh, but not quite as
bad
frigid.
As Buffalo, yeah.
Buffalo is a unique situation. So, but I have all the admiration in the world for their loyal fans because, I guess it is important to deal with cold to have like a few hundred extra pounds on you, even if we're talking about the women. I shouldn't have said that. Sorry, John. I don't want to drag you into this stuff.
No.
From the newly renovated sports bar to the beautiful bayside views captured at the Tiki Bar, Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill has it all. Located at mile marker 104, the Big Chill also offers waterfront dining while experiencing breathtaking sunset views of the Florida Keys. It's simply the hottest spot in the Keys to cool off. That's Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill at mile marker 104 in Key Largo. For more information, call today at 305-453-9066.
These days, we're all looking for comfort anywhere we can find it. Thank goodness for Landlubbers Raw Bar and Grill in Plantation, because they are making sure you are as comfortable as possible. First of all, they're not only open for delivery and pickup. All you have to do is go to landlubbersbarandgrill.com for both pickup and free delivery. You're going to have the best wings in the world. You're going to have a great burger. You're going to have their amazing soups. Again, Landlubbers Raw Bar and Grill. It's nice and easy. Just go to landlubbersbarandgrill.com for both your pickup and free delivery. Thank goodness for Landlubbers for making you always feel right at home.